Okay, today I'm going to show you a quick little tip that I like to do when I don't really know what to do, but I know I need to do something. A lot of people will say, like, have separate sound design sessions, and that is always a good thing to do, but you should always kind of have a kind of goal in mind. So mine is I would like to make some sounds that I just would never make on purpose. And to do that, I'm just going to start with a low note in Serum. I'll just pick a D or something, anything that isn't a key that I ever write in generally. I'm going to set phase randomization to 0, and then I'm just going to pick something that sounds cool. So okay, there's that. Then I'm just going to start assigning LFOs to tiny little things and kind of make them a little unpredictable. So little movements here and there. I'll take some kind of miscellaneous filter here, maybe like a, that's cool. Maybe we can have that bend or something. I like that. So I'm just going to have this kind of something like that. And then over here, I will continue this with some other weird stuff that doesn't seem that useful. Okay. And that's kind of the sound we're going to use here. So whatever that is. And then if you're in Ableton, there's a preset called OTT that I'm sure you've seen used a million times, but it's really extreme and it does a lot of upwards compression where it takes things that are at the bottom of the noise floor, like the really quiet bits, and it slams it super, super, super loud. And then it catches everything that goes too loud and slams it back down. So it's kind of making every part of the sound as loud as the other parts of the sound. So what you can do is really abuse that for interesting fill sounds and just take that OTT and duplicate it a lot. And then you'll get something like this. And that's all fine and good. That just sounds really bad. But what you can do then is kind of play with the idea of little noises getting brought up. So maybe take like a hybrid reverb and put it before everything here. Pick, some kind of strange sound here, like this plate, for example, and then just bring the decay way down, really short, because you'll see that even though it's short, the little tiny bits will get brought way up. I'm going to switch it to Jesus. I'm going to switch this to convolution mode and kind of mess around with it. I've made the bass mono on it, and I might also make it 100% wet. I'm going to stick with the 50. That's cool. And so then from there are a few things you can do to really make a sound insane. One is play with delay really, really tight. So turn off the sync mode here, make sure they're still linked, and then just pull up that release time or the delay time so that it's kind of turning into a comb filter a little bit. And then you could take something like the Ableton LFO, or you could manually automate this by hand. But essentially, you just want to be able to wiggle it. And I'm going to use the filter on the delay to kind of keep it low. Like that. And then there's a couple other things you can do. You could use Corpus, which is like a weird resonator. You could use Spectral Resonator, which I've not really used much of, to be honest. That's cool. Yeah, let's see. That's a cool sound. So once you get a sound that you like, you just record it. So we can come straight out of Serum 2 and record this and set it aside, and then make some changes and do the same thing. You could also just run it looping and record, but sometimes that leads to like a million variations of the same thing. That's cool. I like that. Just getting some cool growly sounds out of essentially nothing. You can kind of mess with the harmonics in the spectral resonator too. Looks like there's a unison mode as well. Okay, well, I'm going to put that on the LFO. Wherever I put that. So if you click on this part of the LFO device, you can kind of map other parameters to the same speed. That stretch parameter is cool. So if I go back to the main menu here, I can kind of... It's cool. Okay, I'm recording that. It's kind of crazy. Those are just like a couple of ideas, but the basic point is once you have a cool processing chain, you just go back and change the initial sound. So we could change this to literally anything else. That is not it. This is. Maybe we could do. Any of these can change the sound fundamentally, so you could detune it maybe. And I come into the reverb. I mean, that is a really cool sound. It's just gonna do this until I loop it. I mean, there's 4 really cool sounds right there. Yeah, and then you just save these for a later day. Stack them all together in one chain and export this chain as like sound design session number whatever. And then you know you have a bunch of sounds for another day. Not so bad.